Rob Kenny here, Director of Restaurant Partnerships at Dosh. If you don't know about us, we are the fastest growing cashback, card-linked, frictionless platform that sits right at the intersection of brands, restaurant and retailers, and diners as well. Our focus is to drive more sales, higher average check, as well as visit frequency for thousands of brands, retailers, and restaurants across the country. But right now, I'm very excited to introduce to you all Barry. So joining today, the CMO of Taco John's, Barry Westrum. He's an industry vet with experience across the QSR spectrum. And obviously, there's no one better to tell the story here about Taco John's and the future of the food of the industry. Barry Westrum. Welcome, Barry.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're going to dive in. So it seems like the topic of the year, of course, is COVID-19. So let's just dive right there. It seems like when everything changed, obviously you took on the new role here, but you arrived there right when it was getting started and the pandemic was taking hold of American life. Like most marketers, I'm sure you had to immediately pivot, kind of figuring things out, but and probably pivot again once after that. But tell us about those first couple of weeks.
Sure. Well, so our story is a little bit different. Well, maybe not a little bit, a lot different than other folks. I mean, of course, worlds were upended, but as a brand and as a company, so for decades, we were really, ever since our inception, we were based in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and the brand made the decision in 2019 to move most of its operations to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minnesota has the most number of stores of all of the states that we're in. We're in 22 states, and you can get to something like 40% of the chain within a 4-hour drive of Minneapolis. So, and nothing against Cheyenne, Wyoming, but there was an opportunity to tap into the wonderful marketing, culinary, operations, financial talent that is in Minneapolis. So the brand made the decision to move in 2019 out here to Minneapolis. So, and the office opened March 4th. We know what was happening, right around March 18. So literally, we were in the middle of the move, and in some instances, we had folks, driving their belongings from Cheyenne, Wyoming, to Minneapolis, Minnesota, when the shutdown occurred. And so, so I liken it to, we're a brand in chaos, and an industry in chaos, and a society in chaos, right? And so those first few days and weeks were crazy, maybe even crazier than what other folks experienced. But it was all about, working 7 days a week, trying to stay on top of all of the ever-changing governmental restrictions, advice from CDC. And remember, it was on a state-by-state basis, county-by-county basis, city-by-city basis. And so, for a chain restaurant where typically, scale and consistency is the order of the day, the notion of being able to react to individual cities and counties' health department restrictions was just added to the chaos. But, we got our footing relatively quickly. To your point, we pivoted to, call it family values. I mean, this, when you were stuck at home and, party size increased dramatically, and the fact that we had a drive-thru, which relative to other restaurant options made it a safer option, our business really grew. And we had an opportunity to kind of focus on some of our menu classics at the right price. And we very quickly went from, negative sales to positive same-store sales growth, and for much of the year outperforming the quick serve restaurant category. So it was quite a journey, just like everyone else. But we've been able to come out from a business perspective in a pretty good place.
That's incredible, actually, because obviously we know so much about those brands that haven't fared so well, and certainly, there are some that have fared better, but obviously a lot of uncertainty, especially when you're opening up a new office, especially figuring out daily routine going to be like when you don't really have one yet. So how would you say kind of the new normal? How have you adapted? How has Taco John's adapted to if there's a new normal to say that yet?
Yeah, it has, it has, I think, in many instances, accelerated innovation, right? And in all aspects of our business. Operational procedures, we might be testing, during the height of kind of the craziness, we were testing in the morning and rolling out system-wide in the afternoon. I mean, it was that kind of, and really what that does is necessity, breeds innovation. And so you kind of roll that into, to your point earlier, new marketing chief kind of stepping in, having to dig into the brand, understand the pipeline and the people and the franchisees and such. We were looking under every rock and every stone just to determine where are the opportunities, where can we find those opportunities that are going to drive the business, and how do we leverage the assets that we have. So it was, but I think what it's, chaos has become the new normal. And so, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Frankly, I think it's a good thing. I think it has prompted innovation, courage, drive to do things differently, because our business has changed more in the, and a lot of folks have talked about this, but more in the last 6 months than it has in the last, to a certain extent, 60 years. And so it has become the order of the day. And so, a fast-paced industry has become all the more fast-paced. And I think it's created just a very exciting kind of environment where every day we are, conventional timelines and conventional processes to get things done and bring innovation to market are being blown up. And we're doing it collectively, we're doing it collaboratively, and I think we're doing it in a way that is going to make our business, and I think for all of us, I think our category stronger going forward.
Oh, no doubt. And kind of, you talked about some of the things, obviously from a menu perspective, which we'll talk about that in a second, but I'm curious to know, from the innovation standpoint, forces you to kind of really look at things differently. What's worked so far for you?
Yeah. Well, as I kind of alluded to, with party size increasing, and if you think about QSR, I think historically the party size is 1.6, 1.7, something like that. So more often than not, it's a single customer, particularly during that the lunch and even the dinner day parts, and it's basically doubled overnight. And so now we are we're all having to provide more family solutions or multi-party solutions as opposed to individual, which is it's very different from an operating perspective for us, right? Because you can obviously produce one order of, call it entree, side, and drink a lot faster than you can do 3 entrees, 4 sides, and 4 drinks, that kind of thing. And so it's really caused us and some other folks in the category to really simplify menus. You kind of heard Brad talking about that, and simplify offerings. So for us, and if anybody, for those who are familiar with our brand, a great upper Midwest brand, one of our claims to fame is our potato olays. They're little bites of heaven, it's been described to me as, but and of course the classic taco. And so we've always had an offering on our menu called 6-pack and a pound, where you get a 6-pack of tacos and a pound of potato olays, and we do it for fixed price point, $10-11. And we saw this increase dramatically during the first few days of the shutdown. Then we went into a promotion mode on it, saw it increase even more, and that increase in the business is sustained through the entire summer and here into the fall. So we're developing other bundles and line extensions off that, other dips and add-ons that beverage add-ons, or different dip add-ons for the potato olays that are very consistent with the operating platform and are very profitable to the operator. So it's causing us to kind of rethink our business model around how do we better compete with pizza. I think it's been well documented that pizza is crushing it during this time period, and so how do we better build menu options for that group occasion in a way that we likely hadn't considered in the past.
That's great. And I think, we had some time to talk about that obviously prior, but, talk about maybe the frequency of the guests coming in. Are they pizza night? We all know there's a
Yeah.
pizza night, right? But have you seen your guest patterns and frequency shift since then, like you said, with this bundle opportunity?
Yeah, so the category, has been running negative in traffic for a few years now, and the pandemic has only accelerated that. So while, I think as a category, many brands have returned to positive sales, they're doing so via guest spend or check, not through transactions. Transactions continue to be negative. And we've seen similar things in our business. Interestingly, we've seen, although we're still negative in transactions, we've got about a point or 2 point advantage relative to the category on traffic. And so we think some of that has to do, like I said, in terms of having an offer that's really relevant right now. We also think that has to do with the upper Midwest nature of the brand. And so we really just want to continue to capitalize on that. Some of the things that we were tackling from, before COVID are continuing to be on our agenda. We've got some exciting things planned for 21. And really it's all about getting traffic moving in the right direction. If we can get traffic moving in the right direction and continue to capitalize on this increased party size and what that's doing to check, sales and profitability will only increase for franchisees.
Agreed. So it's a good segue into kind of your brand mantra of bigger, bolder, bigger. How you've been able to kind of relate to that and really activate that during these times.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, it really is an exciting time to be at the brand. Again, big move from Cheyenne to Minneapolis, really signaling to our franchisees, the investment community, prospective franchisees that this wonderful 50-year-old brand's looking to really accelerate its trajectory of growth over the course of the next 5 and 10 years. And bigger, better, bolder is just a great kind of summation of the way we're thinking about the brand. Bigger, is really about mindset and thinking. Really expanding the boundaries of the brand, both physically and geographically. Better is a quality play. I mean, look, it's Taco Bell is a fabulous competitor, and but they have an Achilles heel in product quality, and we can leverage that. Fresh preparation is a cornerstone of our brand. We make our taco shells and tortilla chips fresh in restaurant every morning. We make all of our salsas fresh in restaurant every morning. These are things that Taco Bell doesn't do, frankly, and our consumers know that and give us a nod on quality. And I think we can take that to the next level. And bolder is a great kind of reference to our opportunity to really expand our menu. Again, I've talked about our upper Midwest nature of the brand, and I mean, literally, meat and potatoes is the name of some of our products. We have wonderful meat and potato burritos and such, but we have a distinct opportunity to really capitalize on all the trends featuring Mexican food around flavor profiles, texture profiles that make the innovation palette, if you will, around Mexican food such a great place to innovate around. And so bigger, better, bolder really does, I think, symbolize what we are doing as a company and as a brand, and how we want to move forward with our customer.
Okay, that's awesome. So let's talk about the food now a little bit more specifically, because you kind of mentioned the competitive set to a degree, and you guys have made a shift to a more of a value with quality strategy.
Yeah.
And so how do you balance the two without compromising either, and effectively how do you do that successfully, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's again, the big opportunity is to really leverage our quality, but we can do so while delivering value. So, our category exists obviously because of value and convenience. I think 1 in 4 transactions are driven by the consumer guiding, how much money they have in their pocket that day relative to what, whether lunch is going to be at, fast casual dining, or quick serve. And we're in the development of a really cool new value menu right now where I think we can do both. So as an example, we'll still feature the low single-digit price points, i.e., $1, $2, or $3, but we can do so with menu items that leverage our fresh prep. So one of the other, we hand cut sirloin steak in restaurant every morning, and we can feature that in tacos and burritos and such, and we can do that at $2 and $3. So that is far better entree offering than any other any of our competitors. We have all white meat chicken, we have bacon, we have guacamole, and so all of these wonderful ingredients that you don't typically find on a value menu will be on our value menu, and that allows us to really take the high road on quality, even when we're talking about value. And so, if you think about the way consumers, think about the competitive set, we want them to think about us when they want something better. Again, tying into the bigger, better, bolder tagline.
That's awesome. So you kind of touched on a little bit about this, about, if you were to look at a tiered menu, well, how would you recommend putting a tiered value strategy together? You kind of touched a little bit on it, but maybe talk a little bit further about how do you make one of those successful? Yeah.
The other, a lot of folks in the industry, and it makes a good deal of sense, is this notion of a barbell menu strategy where you've got to be strong on the low end and strong on the high end. The beauty of our quality positioning will help us on the high end as well. So again, in every town in America, there is a Chipotle or a Moe's or a Pancheros or something like that, these fast casual burrito shops, which don't have a drive-through. Right. They are expensive, and they could be time consuming. And so we can do things that compete against that. So for example, earlier this year, we launched a line of burritos and bowls called the Boss Burrito and Bowl. These are big burritos featuring, all white meat chicken and steak and house-made salsas and all of that wonderful stuff. But we can do it at $6, whereas that same burrito at Chipotle, could be $9 or $10, and you got to get out of your car and all of that. So we've been very overt in our communications about positioning our brand against that competitor, and saying, essentially daring the consumer to find a better burrito for the same price. And our consumers really responded with how they're spending their dollars in the restaurant, and with, as I mentioned, outperforming the category on transactions. So, that's going to be our playbook. Is attacking Taco Bell from a quality perspective, and attacking fast casual burritos from a price and convenience perspective. And we think we can succeed in every town in America in that regard.
Well, it's a good segue, because you kind of talked about your playbook. Let's talk about how you're going to do that. So your CEO, Jim Creel, recently shared some thoughts around how promotions via the app are going to be a big part of your sales going forward, and keeping guests aware with those types of special offers, especially to help drive those new visits from somebody who hasn't been there. So how important would you say are promotions, and especially right now?
Yeah. So we're on a very focused frequency strategy. We have, we have a fair amount of lapsed users that, for whatever reason, don't come to us as frequently as they do McDonald's and Taco Bell, to be quite honest. And so, this is where the app is a huge asset for us, because we know our app users visit more frequently and spend more dollars on each visit. And I don't think, as a brand, frankly, we've been as aggressive as we should be in terms of our customer acquisition strategy. And so, we've added to all of our communications the emphasis on the app this year. We have seen app downloads increased dramatically this year, but it was off a low base. But we want to continue. We want to accelerate that as we move forward. I've kind of set the audacious goal for my digital team to double app transactions within a year. And we all know the beauty of the of individual campaigns and the personalization that comes along with that. And that's going to be a big part of our strategy going forward, especially for a brand like ours, where, we don't have the biggest media budget. We're not going to be able to outspend anybody, but we can certainly outsmart our competitors. And the ability to do, smart offers, the right offer to the right person at the right time is what's going to generate that incremental traffic. And so that's where the app is a real cornerstone in our digital transformation going forward.
Well, yeah, and I think a good keyword would be nimble, right? I mean, obviously, I think resilient. A lot of brands have been that way, have been forced to, and then obviously nimble. So you guys sound like you're in a great position. All right, we're going to probably go to questions here in a few minutes. So I want to jump to another section, just kind of the relevancy of our topic here in the future. You kind of already mentioned some of this. So the future state of growth for Taco John's. Yeah. But I'm going to go through a couple different kind of buzzwords, if you were, topics. So just give us. There's no wrong answer, just maybe your thoughts, a headline on each one of these. And I'll start with, if you think about the future of food and dining, and I'm going to throw the word kitchen automation.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, there's been a lot of, kind of buzz around robots in the kitchen. I've seen some of that in the past, and frankly, it doesn't work. Ours is a people business. It will always be a people business. We have to be the employer of choice. And in my experience, when you're the brand of choice, you become the employer of choice. And that's certainly our strategy going forward there.
Okay, next one, kind of on those heels, is staffing.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing. I've been on brands where, for example, when I was at International Dairy Queen, one of the very first lessons I got from one of our franchisees was that because Dairy Queen was such a beloved brand, he had employees that would much rather work at Dairy Queen than the McDonald's or Burger King across the street, even if they might be able to make a quarter or 50 cents more an hour at that location. It was because of the brand love that made us the desired employer. So that's precisely what we can and should do at Taco John's. Is we have a cult-like following up here in the Upper Midwest. We're going to leverage that, and by making us the brand of choice, I think we'll become the employer of choice going forward.
Okay, next one is delivery. Yeah.
Game changer, right? We've got to get the economics right. We've got to prove that it's incremental. I mean, those are the debates that we have internally and with our third-party partners. And again, because of our Upper Midwest nature, we have a lot of rural locations where we don't have coverage yet. So these are all the things that we're working on, but definitely here to stay. And I think a big part of our growth going forward.
Okay, next one we'll say is advertising and media mix.
Yeah, we still rely on traditional television and radio. Every week we still see when we are on traditional television, that first and second week sales increase, guest count increase, product mix increase. So traditional television is not dead yet. Yes, we're shifting more to over the top. Yes, we're shifting to more streaming radio, and of course we're spending more on social and digital. But we still rely fairly heavily on the traditional mediums, and it's part of what's helping drive our growth.
Okay, so the last one on the future would be, what's the future of the taco?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the thing we talk about here a lot is really the taco is not a physical thing; it's more of an existential thing. It's a state of mind. And, we've done a lot of work with the consumer over the years. And the interesting thing about Mexican food in general, and tacos in particular, is that, when you ask consumers about how tacos make them feel relative to burgers and fries, because that's who we're primarily competing with in our category, burgers and fries make you want to nap, leave you lethargic, that kind of thing. But tacos leave you light and energized and ready to tackle the rest of the day. And so, that's really what we think about when we think about tacos as a lifestyle, as opposed to tacos as a source of fuel. So it really allows you to rethink the carrier, rethink the protein, rethink the toppings. There's so much great work being done in regional tacos. You think about what's going on down in Texas and such. And so, we think that's a big opportunity for us, is taking some of this, some of these regional flavors and making them national through our footprint. So I can't think of a better platform to innovate on, and that is the state of mind that is the taco.
Well, I love it. And you know what? Tacos tonight, I think, for me, after this.
There you go.
All right, let's take a few questions from the audience here. So the first one, what's going to change forever in dining rooms for Taco John's because of the pandemic? Do you see more drive-through action happening, or interaction as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So our business was, call it 65-70% drive-through. And now it's close to 90, and because we do have a handful of dining rooms open. And so really what it's done is it's forced us to be really, really good at the drive-through. And it's 75% of Americans will go to a quick serve restaurant within 2 weeks. So we all experience it all the time. And there's so many moments of truth in the customer journey. Even before you even pull onto the lot, you might eyeball, what's that line look like? And if that line looks long, you'll make the left into McDonald's as opposed to the right into the Taco John's. So, speed of service, customer throughput, simplified menus, not compromising on quality or the experience. Frankly, I think we're going to invest more in packaging. We're going to invest more in the customer experience in terms of maybe you're served with lap trays and boxes as opposed to bags and plastic, those dreaded plastic bags and such. And so the experience is going to get better. I think the value will always be there, and frankly will only get better because for so many consumers and investors for that matter, they're rediscovering the drive-through as a means of growth for all of the drive-through brands. You see the fast casual brands exploring with drive-through options, right? And we fundamentally believe that as a brand, we are far better set up to succeed in this environment where the drive-through is the channel of choice in restaurants and will be for some time. And of course, from a human perspective, we all want to get back to normal. But from a business perspective, if we continue to give the consumer these great experiences from the drive-through, they'll reward us long term with their loyalty, and that's what we're striving to do.
So hard to get after that, but that's such a great point. Next question here: what can heritage brands learn from new digital first brands when it comes to authentically marketing to Gen Z?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and we do learn a ton. I'll be quite honest. We understanding mobile first, understanding the digital experience. We have to increase our investment in that arena. We've had to we've become a fast follower, if you will, to some of these digital native brands and such. But I think at the end of the day, what we offer is, again, that expertise in the drive-through, in the sense that there's a lot of talk in our category around ghost kitchens and things like that. And while those are definitely very interesting, we're going to see how the way that kind of evolves. You still have to build a brand, and the the classic brand building tools around, fundamentally understanding the consumer, delivering on their needs, communicating, building that emotional connection. Really tough to do, in a startup kind of ghost kitchen environment. So we'll learn from them, but we're going to take the best of their kind of digital trainings, but apply that to the brands and the channels that consumers know so well.
Okay, I think we have time for one or two more. But when it comes to communicating with your consumers, how do you think about brand purpose? And how does that impact your approach to marketing?
Yeah, that's a great point. We've done a lot of work around our brand purpose this year, and at the end of the day, we landed on this notion of excitement, in the sense that, look, for our brand, we may not have the best location relative to McDonald's. You might have to go a little bit further down the block and make the left into the parking lot as opposed to the right. And so we have to become a destination. And rather than thinking of food as fuel, we've really challenged ourselves, our franchisees, to think about food as a means of excitement. And again, we have a huge advantage because of the Mexican palate, and we can, there's a texture thing, there's a flavor thing that goes on. And if we are creating experiences that genuinely excite the consumer, both in terms of food, in terms of their digital experience, in terms of their customer service experience, if we're exciting the consumer, then we're going to become that destination of choice. And so that's been a big part of our efforts this year, and we're excited about where we've landed.